claims that are pretty outlandish, but I can back them up. Boom. End of story. There is no other crypto out there, so don't get it twisted. If you don't understand where you're parking your money, you're going to pay the consequences for that, and that's just how the cookie crumbles. Boom. We're obliterating everybody, literally. There is nobody else that comes close to what Hex has done. Boom. Oh, it's about to get funky. Funkier than you could have ever imagined. You know, Richard Hart is a boss. Hex is literally the best thing on the planet. It's simple mathematics. Right? The reality is that I want to be rich as fuck. There's only one way to be rich as fuck. That's by sitting on your ass the longest. Yep. That's it. Yep. That's the secret. The Godwell told you. Richard done told you. I done told you. Kareem done told you. Maddie done told you. Everybody done told you. Everybody done told you. These motherfuckers still acting like they don't know. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
100% safe. There's plenty of games left.
Valiant done told you. Yo, everybody said it. Man, hey, you know what it is, man? Everybody done told you. Y'all's deep. Everybody. My God. Ex-Asians, bro. Everybody. Australians, man. Everybody gets me. Yo, when is it told you? Dollar told you. Everybody done told you. It's crazy. What up, peeps? Hope everybody's having an outstanding Wednesday. Yeah, a little bit of everything is going on, isn't it? Just a little bit of everything. So we're gonna try to cover a little bit of everything. Hex is popping, everything else is flopping, and that's the way it works. So we're gonna get into all of those cool things that these kids want to talk about and see what it looks like. We had a nice little reversal even in equity markets today, but it's really just a short-term thing, and we'll go into that, into the why and all that stuff, because that's what pretty much drags, you know, the promise coin space up and down and all around. So it's kind of important, So yeah, let's say what's up to the chat. Let's see here. What's going on, brother? How you doing? Nasty was good, man. That's funny. What's going on, bro? Seraph was good. Yes, typically it is. What's going on, Bradley? Hope you're doing well, brother. And thank you. Next Gen Frank, what's going on, bro? What's going on, Terrapin? Alan, what's going on, brother? Yes, we are always outside. We ain't never scared. What's going on, Shaggy? Grab, what's going on, brother? Chris, what's going on, homie? Case closed. What's going on, Anarch? Hope you're doing well, brother. Joshua, what's going on, homie? Fresh luck. So look, damn, I kind of don't even know where to start. There's so much going on. I guess we could talk about Hex first and just kind of get that out of the way. Because that's all positive, right? For now. It's all looking good. And that's what we want to see, right? We want to see positive price action. Give me a second here. Share this screen. And it's like summertime over here, so you know it's gonna be loud out there. So bear with the noise as we make our day through this nice 60-degree weather over here in New York. Yes, please smash that like button. Tickle the algo, as they say. What's going on, X-Dex? So as you guys see, we've been doing a nice little reversal. We've reached. Hold on, let me get this crap out the way. What is this? This is daily. Yeah, that's good enough. I don't know why this isn't showing how I want it to. There we go. Oh, this ain't right. There we go. So, 220 something days, still right. 226 days without a new all-time high. Looks like we might be nearing towards another area of resistance, around 21 cents. But the cool thing is that we surpassed one, right? And that's always good because what that means is if price does reverse, then we will, revisit this area and probably find a bid there. And that's how we find those higher lows that keeps the market moving on higher, right? Because while we know this is all math, there are still other factors that do come into play nowadays versus the early days when there just wasn't that many people involved and externalities and all that. Excuse me. So 226 days in about 45 minutes as we'll cross over to 227. No new all-time high, which is cool, right? Because that means you had 227 days to buy the dip, so to speak, right? Barring your perfect entry, of course, right? So this is what's cool. If you understand what's going on, you realize that even at 19 cents, right, you're getting a steal. Especially with all the developments that we've had in the ecosystem lately. I mean, you can't get any luckier if this is your first foray into crypto and what you're running into is RH products, right? I mean, it's kind of crazy. Uh because what happens is that what's going on, homie?
Hey, what's happening?
Doing all right, man. That freaking avatar kills me every time.
Yeah.
Oh man. So I was just saying how, if this is somebody's first foray into crypto and their first interaction or their first buy is with, you know, RH products, well, they basically hit the jackpot.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And that's because this is really the only crypto, by definition.
Yeah, by its own definition.
By its own definition, not just because we want to call it that, which is what everybody else does. We're going off of what was the original intent behind the design and purpose of the market in the first place, which is to actually give us, purchasing power and all that fun stuff. And that's pretty much how it goes, man.
Yeah. Like it's like, man, what would you compare it to? I think it's better than this, but I think the closest thing I could compare it to is, getting into Bitcoin in 2017 and still holding it, or essentially living through this entire run up while actually holding a significant amount. I guess I'd compare it to that, just because the amount that you're getting, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of cool, right? Because if you think about it, it seems like that, right? But it's really still like early days because if you buy a hex and you stake it, well, you're gonna actually get a whole lot more than what you thought. It's really. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think people really underestimate just how early crypto itself is. Okay, what's the predominant thing everyone's doing in crypto still right now? Shuffling around money to make gain off of like pumps and dumps, right? There's like nobody's at the point yet to where they're investing in the tech, like at a large level. There might be a handful of Bitcoin maxis that truly actually are in it for the tech. But what is the bulk of retail doing? What is the bulk of people doing? They're literally still shuffling around money, trying to get into this one before it pumps, get into that one before it pumps, right? Like it's like, I don't know, like at the beginning of the cycle still. Yep. From that standpoint.
Yep.
Like we're still at over 5,000 coins. Like nothing's been shuffled out really yet. 2017, there's a lot missing from there from ICOs, but like as a whole, like it's not really going to start to mature until we're not at 5,400. We're at more like 100.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's two sides of that, right? Because what that means is that there's a lot of landmines in the field, but at the same time, that means that there's also a lot of opportunity, right?
Yes.
But you have to have a really refined palette in order to find it. And that's the thing, we all know how the real world works. And if you're looking for the jackpot, the odds of finding it are almost zero.
Yeah. Yeah, true.
So, out of 5,400 coins, well, there's about 5 that I know of, and 2 of them don't even exist yet. So,
yeah. So, I mean, if you look at the full life cycle of it, right? It went coins, right? Like let's say altcoins, and then so that led to the ICO craze, and then there was Then there was DeFi, and then there was yield farming, and then there's NFTs. Yep. So, like I said, we just keep coming up with like these.
Oh wait! You forgot meme coins between yield farming and.
Oh yeah, and meme coins in there, right? So all we've essentially keep shuffling money into is just trying to catch run-ups and just trying to catch things when they first launch and when they're brand new. That's it.
Pretty much. Oh yeah. So I don't know if you guys saw this tweet I sent out. I think it was last week. So somebody caught a snippet of people trading HEX and Maxi back and forth. Now,
yeah, I saw that.
I don't know what the intent was, but man, that just doesn't make any sense. Back and forth? Like, what's the purpose of that? It only goes in one direction, like both of them. Why are you trading them back and forth?
I think that was someone trying to be clever that didn't realize that in the process they're not really being clever and they're losing money.
Yeah, they got freaking rinsed, man. It was crazy.
Yeah, they did.
It was crazy.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
It was crazy. What up, Dob? Hope you're doing good, brother.
Yeah, what's up, guys? What's up, chat? What's up, chat? Good to be back.
Man.
We're going to talk some macro. We're going to talk some shit. Okay, so to prove my point of what I was just talking about of how early we are, how many actual true crypto communities are there?
One.
I don't know. Well, one. Let's say if I were to be very generous, maybe Shiba and maybe XRP. That's about it.
I'm gonna still go with one.
So
I mean, think about it. If we're talking about community implies that you get together and accomplish something. Something like there's some communicate. Like,
oh, you know what? Let's look it up. Let's look it up real quick. What does community actually mean? Like the definition of it. Let's see here. A group of people living in the same place or having a particular characteristic in common. A feeling of fellowship with others as a result of sharing common attitudes, interests, and goals. The sense of community that organized religion can provide. Interesting. I like your definition better, though. I like how you added in there that it's actually doing something.
Yeah, I mean that's how you define it. I mean, we're living in a virtual world, so to speak, right? So community can't just be a whole bunch of blibber blabber. It gotta take it gotta take a more nuanced, refined definition.
Because in that sense, I would say XRP hasn't done shit. Nobody's done shit. Shiba hasn't done shit. Like
nobody. We have though. We've done a whole lot of shit, and we constantly do mad shit.
Yeah, and that's another defining thing too, right? Is think about this for a second. Shiba has a marketing arm that's paying for all the billboards and all the marketing and advertising. HEX doesn't.
Right, yeah, I don't know how that works. I don't get that.
So that's just like people doing it. So I think again, just we're not going off, I guess, the official definition of community, but I would want that to be a community that I'm involved in. Like, I don't even know who's doing half the advertising in HEX. Yeah, who the fuck knows? Like, who's the one that does all the mailers?
Right,
to
and
all
that's
like
the
the
point,
ledger
though.
leak list and stuff. I have
But
no clue who actually does that.
that's how you know it's decentralized, sir. You're not
Yeah,
supposed to know. You know
exactly,
what I mean?
exactly.
It's not supposed to be like titles, like chief male officer.
Yeah. Well, if it had that, it would fail the Howey test,
Hundred
and it would
percent.
be a security,
Hundred
because there would
percent.
be an expectation that there's a marketing team that is developing
Pumping
and
that
growing the
bag.
community,
Yep.
which is an expectation of work from somebody else.
Pumping that bag, baby.
Yes,
Gotta be
sir.
careful with that, especially if you're putting your money in stuff. You gotta be sure that there is no room for error with regards to that Howey test, because guess what? SEC don't care. They're going they're
Yeah,
going they're gonna
they're
shoot
going to
at
keep
you.
using that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're gonna
they're
use it
going to
because they
keep using
can.
that. So
Hmm.
if you've got a roadmap, or if you've got a marketing team, it could even be a DAO that is running marketing. You're fucked. Your coin is fucked.
I think that's
Like
just your
you will be a
phone, brother.
security.
I'm sorry, man, but just to this message, I think it's just your phone, bro, because I was just on it like 20 minutes ago. Definitely not 3 days. So download, delete it, and re-download, or reach out to them directly, because this ain't a staker chat, bro. Sorry.
Yeah, just be careful. Just be careful with that.
Yeah,
100%.
just make sure you're doing the right links and all that good stuff. You know the drill.
Be
Act,
mindful.
act like it's 2022 and do the right things.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. Hey, so where was I? I was going to go somewhere with that, but I lost it. Oh well.
My bad, man.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Community, though, that's what we were talking about.
Yeah, hell yeah. So yeah, okay. We're at that point when we see like real group effort, real community. I think Bitcoin is finally starting to do this, by the way. And El Salvador is one of the big catalysts to actually having
Right.
this be true. Now we're starting to see people get together and do something. But I mean, I would argue like Bitcoin itself. Okay, so there's developers and they push out updates. So there's an expectation that updates will be rolled out if there's throttling issues on the network. Correct. So
Yeah.
I think the only reason why that passes as a commodity, which they'll grandfather it in, is because it was first mover advantage. But it does have characteristics of the security, 100%.
100%. I mean, I think the point is, if they want to pluck that string, they can,
Yeah, they could.
right? And that's, why would you even risk it? Like, it's not worth it when you know there's actual securities that are regulated. Why would you put yourself in a position to potentially risk, right, gains just because some random body of fools says something?
Yeah.
Because that's literally how it works. Said something. It's not anything else.
Yeah. That's interesting to me. But yeah, at that point, like that's when you'll know it's at the next phase of
Hmm.
maturity rather, in the community itself, and in this niche, is that you'll start to see real communities forming, doing real shit out there. Whereas right now we're just kind of playing around and shuffling around money, chasing gains.
Yeah, it's really just Mexicans that are actually trying to enhance the exposure of the coin, the brand of the coin, what it stands for, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, it's one thing to just have Richard Hart out there, yapping away. It's another thing to have a whole, clusterfuck of thousands of people trying to get the message out there. And I think that that's literally what sets us apart, right, from everybody else. Because what happens? Well, people find us, they see it's not just a bunch of random people, but a cohesive group of individuals that are actually trying to accomplish something. So
Yeah.
it's not quite the same thing. You got to really understand the difference. And if you don't, well, guess what? Life will make you pay, because that's usually how it works. So
And it's been difficult, like trying to get efforts, coordination and efforts spun up and rolled out is very, very difficult,
yeah,
when it's like every man for himself. But at
100%.
the same time, like it takes us back to tribal days, pecking order, things like that. that
Hmm. Hmm.
that natural flow is always going to be there. So I find that really, really interesting that just always seems to sort itself out with these initiatives and these projects that happen within the community. But I think in the long run, again, it might be bumpy now, but in the long run, how powerful does that make those that stick around and the groups that are being formed right now within this community, the subgroups? It makes
Yeah.
it unstoppable in the long run.
Yeah, because they're basically staking their claim now, right? In the
Yeah,
ground, in the ground floor that is a community that's being built out now. Because here's the thing: nothing exists until you build it,
yeah,
and it's really that simple. right?
Yeah.
Like when you sit here and you think about what actually constitutes a community and how we operate and what everybody else is doing, and you sit here and think about what is and what isn't. I mean, you got to realize none of this stuff was happening a year ago, and then the year before that, even less.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so why is it happening now? Well, because we feel like it.
Yeah, I feel like it's also like it took a long time for people to kind of figure out what they had. Because okay, once think of it like this, and here's how I've kind of seen the progression within Hex is it was like it took a really long time to figure out like, okay, what the fuck do we actually have? All right,
Yeah.
now we get it. Now we really, really get it. Now let's build on top of it. That's kind of what I'm seeing it as. And so you wouldn't be able to build Maximus, you wouldn't be able to build Hedron and all these other projects if you didn't understand the core of what you've got, which is Hex.
Right.
So you have to deeply understand in and out every which way for the most part. You got to understand what you're sitting on. And now that that's happening, like watch how fast things will scale. Like look at what's been accomplished over just the last year. We got a documentary. We got MCA. We got a trust. I mean, we got events happening at a faster rate now. We got all kinds of wild shit.
I mean, we got racing teams across the
Yes.
pond. We got racing teams domestically.
Yeah.
We got fighting team in Australia, Jake Lund, just one gentleman. I can't remember who the hell else. Oh, we got boxers here in the US.
Yeah, Jay Leon.
Jay Leon. We got athletes galore. We got a bunch of NFL players. We got, I mean, look, they gonna say a pandemic occurred, but they just weren't paying attention to the real one. That's pretty much.
And that'll be wild. Think of that story. Is that during the worst, quote unquote, the worst pandemic in the history of mankind, there was motherfuckers out there getting rich, like regular Joes getting rich beyond their wildest dreams by just paying attention, dude. By just paying attention. That tells you how early we are still. All you had to do was look.
Literally.
Damn, dude. That's pretty fucking good. That's pretty good.
Literally, just look.
Just look, dude. I mean, there's enough. Like, hey, dude, come on. There's enough fucking streamers now. Holy shit, dude.
Yeah,
if you're ignoring this ecosystem, like you got just some inner fucking emotional issues that are blocking you from even seeing this thing. Like you gotta go get some help. You really do.
You just don't want success.
Yeah, you fucked up.
Right, because what's success, right? Success is whatever you want it to be. And 99.99% of the time, that's a function of freedom of time. And you can only have that if you do not have to work.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. 100%. That's why I want everyone to be rich as fuck.
Yeah, I mean, that's
besides us. I know you're going to be, I know I'm going to be, but I want everyone else to be. Because then you can find yourself, you can figure out what the fuck you want to do, how you want to contribute, what game you want to play. Just to go back and touch on something, though, I want to bring up an important point about the sports players, the athletes, the let's call them quote unquote famous people that are involved in this. Right. None of them were coerced. None of them were paid. This wasn't a, hey, here's a free ape. This wasn't a, hey, here's free 100,000 in Hex.
Hold on. Because that's not true. That's not true. Because if they are paid in Hex, guess what happens? It's staked.
Yes.
So
what I meant is they weren't paid by like this DAO or entity to come and get involved in the project.
Right. No centralization once again.
Yes. Yeah. So what happened with apes, one of the reasons why Bored Apes blew up so big is because some people don't know this, but they gave it out to a lot of the famous people. I'm trying to think of the DJ off the top of my head, Steve Aoki. They gave him that first one, by the way. So they gave these guys an ape, just like, poof, here you go, give an ape. And then they posted it, retweeted it, etc. Oh, look at my new ape, blah, blah, blah. So that didn't happen within Hex. Nobody like gave them Hex to come and get involved in the community. And so they didn't feel obligated to like text and talk about it.
Right.
They just fucking found it and did it themselves, dude.
That's it. And this is exactly right. This comment right here. And this is something that people within the community might or might not know is that these same persons that we're talking about, they're just regular guys like us and girls. And guess what they're doing? The same thing that we're doing.
Yeah.
Freedom fight, man. Because that's the actual pandemic, right? The actual pandemic is a loss of human rights, basic human rights. It's not anything else. So we're addressing that in real time by giving people power to defend themselves from the system in the right way, not violently, in the right way, which is financially, such that they can determine their own fate and tell everybody else to fuck off. So
because you can. I mean, you can. Like, do you think? Okay, who was it? Elon Musk, I guess, went to Indonesia the other day. Do you think that he like got tested and he showed up and talked about how he's not vaxxed and he doesn't like the vax? Do you think like famous people, not famous, but big players are like being required to do a PCR test? They're not. They're showing up on a private jet, getting in, doing business, shaking hands, by the way, touching people without a mask, and fucking leaving. So if that's true, then why would, again, like from using their logic, their own circular logic against themselves, why would we risk such a quote unquote important person? Why isn't he like 4x vaxxed and wearing 18 masks? Just quick point. Just quick point. I don't want to dive too deep into that, but I'm just saying like, it ain't what
it's an obvious point. No, I mean, I'm over here trying to hold it in because it's like, what more do you need, bro?
It's got to be said apparently though, because there's still a lot of people out there not getting it. So let's just reinforce that.
Look, I gotta tell you something, man. I was just strolling around for the past hour looking for some shit outside, and what I saw was people still wearing face diapers, and I'm like, what is wrong with y'all? How many years of nothing do you need? How many years before you take that face diaper off your face? Do you need to realize that all you're doing is suffocating yourself as you walk around?
Yeah, dude. So that being said, like that's why something like HEX is so important, is because we can look at previous great financial crisis, all these pieces, right? 9/11, and these were money grabs against the taxpayer. At just one level. They were a financial grab, right? They were financially trying to push more people into lower earning income brackets while, of course, satisfying themselves and making themselves rich. But this time around, there was more to it. It wasn't just that we are going to financially fuck you. It was that we are going to now start to attack the Constitution and just innate human rights. And so that's what makes this one so interesting and so important to understand and discuss, really. It's just a shame we don't really have open forums to discuss it, is because it really, I guess, signals a new level or the next phase of essentially what is planned at some sort of level from some group of people. It signals that. So it's like now more than ever, you got to take this shit serious, whether you like it or not.
Yeah, and it sucks because tell you what, I'd rather not.
I know, dude. I know.
Like, right? Yeah. Like, I don't think anybody wants to be bothering with any of this crap. I'd rather just sit back, relax, and watch mind-numbing TV as well. But guess what? It just don't work like that, unfortunately. Because if it did, when you go take care of some basic nonsense in your little neighborhood, it wouldn't be a clusterfuck. And we all go through that. I don't care where you live. Everybody all over the world has some clusterfuck of an issue that's common in their neck of the woods. And it's just because people want it to be so. And it shouldn't be so. Now, how do you fix that? Well, you only fix it by getting involved. And guess what? The easiest way of getting involved is having money. And shutting people the hell up with your money. Because once you got money to flex, guess what? They got to come out of pocket too. And that's what they don't want to do. And what do we have? Endless pool of fucking funds.
Yeah, man, it's wild. I can't wait to see what the next, 2 to 5 years looks like.
It's going to be crazy, bro.
Because there's a lot of people, by the way, that don't understand some of the conversations being had, just in this last week. And some of the shit that's, we're involved in and get to sit in on is pretty fucking incredible. It really is. I wish more people could understand some of the depth of what's being discussed and some of the truths within the crypto industry and what the perception versus the reality, I guess, would be a good way to put it.
Right.
But there's some shit that like people just don't know is happening. And what it all roots back to is like crypto ain't crypto. It ain't what you thought it was.
Nah.
You got involved for a noble reason to maybe, outsmart the inflation or the many ways that you're getting fucked by traditional finance. And you came here to try and find something new. and you're still here, but you got to just recognize that it's wildly different than what it used to be.
Right. What you've just walked into, honestly, is just a replication of what you've left on the other side.
Yeah, they have totally now
Excuse me.
terraformed this thing into exactly what they had before. It just looks a little different. It's lipstick on a pig. It's the same pig.
100%. I mean, let's just look at what's been happening in the markets over the past, 20 days or so, maybe. Yeah, a month and a half, right? So you got the market basically going one way, then boom, just rips people's faces off. I mean,
what is this? One
mini S&P. Nah, this is 30 days. This is 30 days. This is 34 days. Okay, so this is from the 29th of March through yesterday or the 2nd of May, right? This is the shaded area.
Yeah.
Okay, so what are we looking at? Why am I looking at this? Well, anybody that went short here, right? Because theoretically, you broke that trend, that the area of support is broken once you breach this downside here. So it's logical to take a short here, right? 4,300, boom, no problem. 4,350. Now what happened? Well, you were just in the money, 300 points, but it took you 12 days.
Took it all back.
10 days to make those 300 points, right? Or whatever it is. And then they came and took it all back, just like Jay said.
Well, here's how easy it is for them to do that, by the way. Is let's talk about interest rate hikes. We had a 50 basis point jump. Okay, so I think we're at what, 1% now? Okay, is prime. So essentially what happened, and the reason why you see Bitcoin and stonks pumping in the last 24 hours is because at the last minute there was a 75 point scare. Oh no, it's not going to be 50, it's going to be 75 points.
Right.
That's literally all they have to do. So they came out with the 75 point boogeyman jump, and then everyone got terrified. That was the sell-off. And then when it came out to be just 50, everyone was like, oh shit, this is good. And
that's how they play the market. But that's how they play the markets, right?
Yeah, dude.
That's how they play the markets. Yeah, that's how they play the markets. It's about tipping expectations. It's never about actually doing anything, right? Because what just happened? Well, they just caught the market off sides by saying, hey, we're going to do this and then not do that.
Yeah.
And then do the complete opposite. But they got the market off sides to the point that the market was expecting them to do that. So it priced it in.
Yeah, yeah. A 50 point jump was priced in, by the way. So they just constantly okie doking you.
Correct.
That's all that is.
Let me find this damn calendar.
That's all that is. So here's what's interesting too is if you remember back, the Fed, I think it was like March 15th, said that they're going to start QT. They're going to start cutting, their 9 trillion balance sheet. Well, what's interesting is that in April, from March 15th till the end of the month, they ended up still booking 121 billion at auction. So the only thing that changed was they just started buying at auction. And now for April, they ended up buying up 95 billion in treasuries and 35 billion in MBSs, mortgage-backed securities, for a total of 130 plus billion dollars in April. So where the fuck is the QT? When are we going to start? Remember that? So QT, tapering, all this means the same thing. They're going to stop buying so much, is what it means.
Hold on.
So all they've actually done is pivoted to buy off auction, and they haven't stopped a fucking thing.
Jay, hold on. When the hell did we miss a 1% rate hike or 50 bip rate hike? Apparently they raised it 0.25%. I mean, and what? I must have missed that little hike.
Oh, the first one?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was last month.
Oh, I must have not been paying attention. Okay. It was in March. Oh.
Yeah. March 15th.
So they misreported it. They reported it as if they were gonna do it. The hell is wrong with these people, man? I just never look at the rate.
You know what was weird is that is there's so much, like, here's what's odd about the news cycle now and keeping track of this, is there's so much run-up media that you actually, like, you don't know, like, did they do it or not? It's getting confusing to know if they actually did it unless you're going and literally checking the site. Because there's so much run-up cost.
Case in point. It just happened to me. I mean, this was back in March. I mean, I thought that they hadn't done it. I even streamed about it, and that's what I said. Like, they're gonna do it. Not that they did it.
No, they did it.
They did it.
So, okay, 50 BPS basis point jump just means 0.5% interest added on. That's it. Yep, so interest rate goes up. It was at 0. Or like 0. Yeah, I think it was at 0. Now it's at, then it was from March, it was at 0.5. Now it's at 1%.
Yep, simple.
So the interest rate is 1% now. So that means that out of the trillions of dollars in debt that exist now, it costs more to service that debt, aka it costs more to pay that back. This also means that interest rate prime on credit cards will go up. That all these things will fluctuate. Mortgage rates will go up, right? Mortgage rates I think are around like 5% now, whereas they were insanely low before. 2.8 to 3.7% I think was before what you could get. You might still find that with a credit union, but down the middle, I think it's like 4 or 5% now.
If you're lucky.
So all that changes. And this, what's funny about this is this routes back to all this stuff we've been discussing with CPI. So see what happens is CPI has about 24% weighted as housing and rent. But the way that they use it and the vehicles that they use to calculate rent and the housing component of CPI is very misleading. So everyone, I don't know why anyone actually pays attention to CPI as like a meaningful metric, because it's not, it's trash. But because of the way that they look at it, it makes it look like housing's not that bad, when in fact housing is fucking horrible. Rents have gone up 20% year over year.
Foreclosures are up 100%.
Yes. So again, we're getting attacked. We're getting attacked on all ends because you can't even provide shelter for yourself now.
Year on year. So this time last year versus now, foreclosures are up 100%. That means people are losing their homes. Not getting evicted, but they're losing their homes. So on one side, you got people getting kicked out of their homes. On another, you got businesses, cost of doing business 4xing in a matter of 60 days. Imagine if your rent went up 4 times in 60 days, folks.
Yeah, that'd be insane, hey?
This went from 25 basis points to 50, then from 50 to 1%. That's 100% increases in 60 days.
So let's ask the most important question. Did you get 2 raises in the last 60 days? If the answer is no, and this is obvious, right? Like, you don't need a degree. I don't need to be building rockets to understand this. So if I'm not getting raises at the same rate that we've got CPI going up and we've got all these other metrics going up, well then shouldn't that be our focus would be the first question. Yes, obviously that's rhetorical. So the fact that this administration and nobody within government's even really talking about this in terms of solutions, they're all complaining, but nobody's got a solution, proves once again our point. They don't give a fuck.
Yep. I mean, they're literally doing nothing. We talked about the deficit last time we streamed. I mean,
that's insane, by the way. 109 billion, right?
I mean, it didn't change from the last time we streamed it now. It's just the same number. Just looking at it on a different site. Same number. I mean, this is a joke, bro. It's a joke.
Yeah.
And people just, the fact that people talk about GDP as if it's significant is a joke, right? Because what's GDP? Well, it's just a measure of the dollar value of the products produced, not the units of the products produced, because that is what would define the growth in the actual demand, not the inflation in the currency, which is what you get in the dollar value. You see? And you have to understand how that's happening. Well, it's a ratio. That's how that's happening. Right?
So it means nothing, essentially. It means nothing, especially to you on the ground, running your small business, living your life. It means fuck all.
I mean, let's look at this chart. I guarantee you this chart. Yeah. Look at this shit. All right, hold on. 25 years. So basically, if you look at this, how I've if you've been watching me for a long time, you see me explain how you would essentially look at the average of this. And all you would literally do is put it down the middle of the data points. So for the past 25 years, the inflation rate has basically been 2.5%. Simple. Now all of a sudden it's 8%. Now, what did I just tell you? What did I just show you? Also Forex. But this Forex first. Isn't that funny?
Mm-hmm. And something to keep in mind too is the BLS, the Bureau of Labor Statistics, is constantly changing the CPI formula. And the reason why they do that is so that you cannot track it and show historical reference across the long enough period of time. So essentially, the only way to do this would be as if you you essentially smoothed all this out based off one framework. So the only site that you can get this on is Shadow Statistics, because they have taken the 1980s CPI model and shown you what that looks like over time. And so where we are right now is the same as where we were in the 1980s in terms of inflation.
Yeah, let me see if I can pull it up.
Yeah, I think it's like Shadow Stats, and then just go to
I think it's shadowstats.net. I don't think it's
and then go to the inflation page, and it'll show you. So that's the only way to, like, actually from a data standpoint, we can't even look at CPI and give you anything accurate off of that. We can just say, hey, it's at 8.5, and like he said, like the average is like 2.5. We can't even, beyond that, we can't even really say much, and that's not truly accurate even, because they changed the formula so often. They just changed it again in January of this year.
Maybe the Big Mac index is the most accurate. Oh, it is .com. Maybe the Big Mac index is the most accurate. What the hell?
What the fuck? Wait, what is going on? Shadow Stats. Let me try and find it.
Yeah, you try and find it. Oh, what the hell is going on?
Fucking database.
Yeah, like what the fuck?
it pulled up for me. You want to?
I guess I'm missing something. Okay, we gotta check.
I'll.
Is it .com?
Yeah, it is. It is. I'll drop the exact link in private. There it is.
What the hell?
See if that works. Maybe you got too tight of settings on Firefox. I got a bunch of shit like that too.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell's going on. I'm surprised I can't pull it up. I mean, your
What the fuck?
PHP, WordPress. I mean, this doesn't even make sense. Just pull up your screen, bro. I mean,
okay. Let me break out the chat.
I don't understand what's going on here.
All right.
Yo, this is wild. But look, this is in the inflation rate as they measure it. Okay, and as Jay detailed, they change it, right? And this is, of course, coming from the BLS, Bureau of Labor Statistics, because they use whatever, right? Wages, prices, cost of goods, whatever, to measure the little funky inflation. And no, I mean, come on, look at this shit. Many analysts expect that March will mark the peak in inflation, although the war is far from over. Supply chain bottlenecks persist, which were occurring prior to the war, and consumer demand remains elevated, which I'm not seeing, which is likely to weigh on CPI for longer. So this is a contradiction, right? Because if you've been watching me for a year, I've been talking about supply chain bottlenecks since last year. So this is not news.
When it actually started.
Yeah, when it actually started. So this is false. And in conjunction with that, we can see in the data that consumer demand is down. How's that? Oh, well, let's take a look at GDP that just got released. Let's see what we get. No, this ain't the data. Here we go. Last growth rate, March 2022, minus 1.4%.
There we go. That's more like it.
What does this mean? Because that's typically what people want to know. Who cares, right? What does it mean? Well, this is a function of the inflation in the system. Now, I don't know if you guys remembered, but I used to show this stuff all the time, and this is probably the most appropriate time to go over it. And Jay, I don't know if you remember this, but long story short, it's this chart that I keep here saved. Let me show you. You do your thing, and I'll log in over.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Go ahead and get that ready. So here we are, shadowstats.com. Alternate inflation charts. There's two of them. So the thing that they don't want you to see is they don't want you to see an accurate representation of inflation today versus the 1970s when it was really, really bad. And so as long as they keep changing the weighted model, which is what BLS does, is the CPI model is like a weighted model. A little bit of this, a little bit of that, right? It's like a pizza, yeah? As long as they keep changing the ingredients, then you'll never be able to accurately judge this over a long enough period of time, like we've said. So there's two here. There's the 1980 CPI model and then the 1990 and 1980. And if you see, like here, we're like way off the chart. We're way off the chart. And so obviously with the 1980s model, we can't go back and look at the 1970s because it doesn't make sense to do that, right? So this was updated on April 12th, just for reference. But yeah, like we're more likely at or around 17%. It's probably a good way to look at that. That makes way more sense too, based off what you've seen on the street, don't it?
Yeah, it does.
You know, what everyone's living through.
Mm-hmm.
That's more like it.
Yeah, it's typically a double-digit inflation number. It's rarely a single-digit one. I remember in 2015, that was 1 year where inflation was pretty heavy. And I remember like prices around where I was working at the time, they were going up 16% and up. I remember because I was calculating everywhere I was going because I had to be outside spending money. I wasn't working from home.
Oh yeah, 100%, dude. Especially if you're like on a budget and you're you know like what $100 can get you in terms of groceries, gas, etc. Then and you're going to the store and you're buying the same shit, but it's like double the price. Like, okay, there it is.
Yep, it's gonna do something to you, right? You're gonna be paying attention because your dollars just aren't stretching as far as they used to.
Yeah.
Or your fiat units.
Yeah.
Your fiat.
Your fun tokens.
Yeah, your fun tokens. Your fun tokens. Oh my god.
They ain't getting you as much anymore. Okay, so one other point that I just wanted to end with on the whole on this whole point is, okay, we've got raging inflation. Why would the Fed be buying into raging inflation? Like from an investment standpoint, who the fuck would be doing that right now? When you got people like Paul Tudor Jones, who's been really nailing the last couple of years, like saying the exact opposite. And this is a guy who doesn't take money from anybody, like government wise. And like, you know, he runs his own fund and blah, blah, blah. Like he's self-sustaining. He's been successful for a long period of time. He has to have a different viewpoint than like the dog shit you're hearing from the Fed. But like the big question should be, why would the Fed be buying into such inflated prices right now? That doesn't actually make sense. And it's beyond all of their projections. Like their projections were 30 billion for April. Below 30. So 30 was the high side.
It's hilarious.
We're way over that.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
We're way over that. So I mean, their own projections are wrong. Like, and we're buying into hyperinflated pricing. What the fuck is going on here? None of that logically makes sense, correct?
None of it. Because what's happening is like they're putting the cart before the horse every time. And when you put the cart before the horse, what ends up happening is that you have to rein it in. And once you put yourself in a predicament where you have to rein things in, well, it's a losing proposition, honestly, because once you let the genie out of the bottle, it's just out of the bottle. You can't stop it. You know, it's just there. It's gone. It's done. That's it.
Yeah, and of course we've got a lot of guys that were trading this all along inside the Fed, which is why 5 or 6 of them had to step away, is because they all got outed that they were taking trades on the entire pandemic since 2019, and then they all stepped down. The only one left is Powell, and Powell's been trading insider knowledge as well since about 2015.
The only reason he's still there is because he's the head. Otherwise, they would have kicked his ass out too. They can't make that kind of a scandal, right?
Which, I mean, they probably should have. Like, logically, it makes sense that they didn't renew him this year, and they kicked him out and brought in somebody new to help kind of usher in a new direction with the economy. Like, it's bad to hold the Fed chair, the same guy, through so many seasons like we're seeing. Like, he did his job during, whatever, the last season, get rid of him, bring on somebody new, and that brings excitement back in, which it's kind of pathetic that this brings excitement back in, but it does. It's just kind of silly. It's like this whole game that everyone pretends is real, but we all know it's not. So anyway, to play the game, they should have done that. It would have been smart.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because Bernanke, when Bush and Obama were in office, Bernanke was there the whole time.
Yeah.
Never changed. Powell came in when Trump came in, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think
pretty sure.
I
Yeah.
think just before that. Let me look that up actually real quick. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen.
No, sure, mine.
Okay. Let me look that up.
So right now, folks, what we're looking at is the blue line is real gross domestic product in billions of dollars, 2012 dollars. Okay, so just think of it as regular dollars, never mind the year. And then on the right side, we're looking at the purchasing power of the dollar since inception, right? But the baseline is 1984, meaning the price value baseline of like 0 is here, right? 1984. That's baseline 0. So that means if we started with 1,000 back up here, right, and we're going down to 1984 and it's at 100, that means we lost 90% in 70 years. And then from then on forward, right, we've just lost another 90%. Because what's happened? We've gone from 98 to let me see. What is this? 35.9. All right, so maybe 60%. Let's do some math. I don't know. Let me get
Real quick, I'll
accurate.
just chime in with an update. Yeah,
Go ahead.
Trump did nominate Powell
Trump,
November
right?
2nd, 2017.
Thought so. Yeah. What was that? 95? No, that was 98. 98 divided by 36. So, okay, you're a pain in the ass. Oh, come on, man. All right. Really? I think I did this wrong. There we go.
That looks more like
63%.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
63%. Yeah, so 63% loss in value from 1984 to now. Right now, what's happening? Well, in this chart, the red line is a representation of what you get paid in. The blue line is a representation of what's reported to you as economic growth. Simply put, the red line is what you get paid in. The blue line is what is told to you is good news. So if you add these two pieces that are completely disconnected together, you get a pretty crazy picture.
Pretty crazy diversion.
Right. Well,
Divergence.
what it is like they're completely negatively correlated.
Yeah.
Right. And this is what most people have no idea is even a thing because they're not looking at this. Now, what am I doing? I'm looking at what is causing GDP to go up. That's what I'm looking at. And it's the dollar going down, that red line.
Yeah.
If it wouldn't be for that red line going down and to the right, that blue line wouldn't be going up and to the right. And that's exactly how HEX works too. Because the red line is designed to go down and to the right. But guess what? HEX is designed to go up and to the right. So that's why we stay winning so hard in that respect. So this is important to understand because we're at a terminal point where the value is just not there anymore.
Yeah, and all those gray little verticals, those are all the recessions. Which
Yeah,
that just looks so fucking bad, dude.
What was funny?
Looks like a barcode.
What was funny is that they act like this is really all that was. Like it's not really still
yeah,
going
2-month recession. That was it. Come on, man.
Like we're still not in a recession. Like we didn't just get a negative GDP reading. I mean, we've been in a recession the whole time. That's the reality because what have they been doing? Debasing the currency. And the rate of debasement only increased. Didn't decrease. It increased.
Yeah.
And this is what's going on. Now I got another chart to share.
So real quick, I'll just add another
go
piece.
ahead.
Is M2 money supply, if you look at it over the last 12 months, it went up 26. So I talk about 40% of all dollars have been printed in the last 2 years. Well, in the last 12 months, 26%.
Yeah, we're pulling it up. Don't worry. That's part of this chart set too.
Oh, okay. Hell yeah. Let's do it.
Yeah, no worries. We cover it all over here. Let's see here what we got.
And so what's cool about this is that, crypto has taught you like why this matters. Crypto has taught you why to pay attention to something like this is because you already know when a crypto goes and prints, Tether goes out and prints, or, they come out and hyperinflate the currency. That's usually a bad thing. You already know this. So when you see them doing it with the US dollar, you're like, oh man, this is like worse than a shitcoin.
Yep. Pretty much. I mean, and here's further proof. This is just further proof of what I was just showing you, right? So this is a line, or this chart is showing you the rate of change in GDP and the dollar, right? In their respective colors, blue and red, once again, right? And what do you see here? God damn it. Sorry, guys. Let me refresh. What you see here is a zero line going straight through the chart, right? And the main thing I want you guys to realize is that as you look at the red line, you'll realize that the primary direction of the red line is below the zero line, not above. It spends very little time above the zero line. It just really spends time above the zero line only really into the 30s. And after that, it's really scant, right? It's very, very limited time. Once, twice, a third time, and that's it, all the way up until 2010, right? So from 1950 something, 1955, all the way through 2010, right? A recession in present day, given our economic system, relative no recession at this point in time, but after a recession, right? And this is very nuanced, very advanced, right? Point of view, because you really have to understand the difference here. 1955, what the hell was happening? The economy was booming in the U.S. Everything was ripping and roaring. Everything, right?
Yeah, it was right after World War II, right?
It was right after World War II. That's right. Mid 50s. But in reality, right after the mid 50s, it started really ripping the plug, right? They started really moving everything overseas. That's what you start seeing here. And this is what this means, right? And they realized that they were causing this problem, right? And then this is what Vietnam ultimately became about, right? Because they couldn't do what they wanted because they were spending all this money. And you could just see it. Like you just see it, right? And what did they have to do? Well, they had to get off the gold standard ultimately. And that's ultimately what ended up doing this little whipsaw and then dump, right? Because gold ripped pretty much to $800 up until right here, 1980, and that was it. That's all she wrote for gold until 2000s, right? Until like 2000, I think it might have been July 2000 or 99, something like that. I can't remember. But long story short, you got this red line representing the change in the value of the dollar over time. And it's consistently negative. It's persistently negative, meaning that the longer it stays negative, the lower the value goes. So think of it like an elevator. The further it's below zero, the longer the ride is. So you're just going further and further and further and further and further down in value. And look at where we are present day. I mean, this is in line with what you just said, bro.
Yeah.
Literally. I mean, it dumped from April 2020, which we know what happened when they printed to oblivion, all the way to now. I mean, what is this? 0 to 6 and minus 6.5%? This is insane, bro.
Yeah.
Minus a quarter percent to minus, it's even lower. Holy shite.
Yeah, what is that up to? Like
minus 7.9%.
I hate how the Fed does this fucking data, dude. It's
Yeah,
like you got 2020 and we're in 2022. Like I assume that we're in the current year, possibly on this chart, but I just hate how they do this.
March 2022 for the CPI.
Okay, good. So it is up to March.
GDP
All right,
is not up to date
at all.
We won't probably see that till, because this is an annual one, I'm pretty sure. Let me see if I can edit this. I don't think I can.
change it to like maybe monthly GDP. That'd be cool.
Let's see. I don't think I can. I think it's like that because it has to be.
Yeah. So if we were to look at M2 or MM2, which is money supply,
Yeah.
yeah,
See,
it's up
it's
27%
only annual. Sorry, bro.
year over year,
Yeah,
which
it's
is
only
crazy. Which is great. That's crazy. You know, the 40% number is crazy, but the 20% numbers, 27% number is just as crazy as well. They've inflated that currency without your permission, by 27%,
I mean, look at this.
which that's not even the multiple because there's such a compounding effect on you.
Look at this. This is just unit count, right? This isn't even a rate of change. We're gonna look at a rate of change in a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, this is insane. You went from 13,000 to 22. I mean, 13 trillion to 22 trillion. This is just 5 years
that we know of, by the way.
and this is just what we can see. This is not everything. This is just what they're showing us. So
yeah, it's wild, dude. It's fucking absolutely wild. And you had no say in that.
No say.
You know, I think they were in a decent position after the first tranche of COVID bailouts and then stop, but they couldn't. They just couldn't. Just like a drug addict can't stop. You know, they just kept fucking going.
Yeah, and that's what's kind of sad, right? Because it's like now everybody's gonna have to pay the piper in one way or the other, and there's a way out, right? And this is what cryptocurrency is all about, and this is what's hard for many to understand.
Crypto.
Yeah, true crypto.
Yes, was created for this very thing.
Yes, literally.
Hyperinflationary overprinting territory. It was created off the back of the 2009 crisis. It was created for a reason.
100%.
To stop printing fucking money, to hold a currency that would never, ever, ever inflate its currency, no matter what. 21 million, that's all you're fucking getting. Ever.
Yeah, that's it. That was the premise.
Yes, so we talk about this often, like ETFs. Everyone's like, well, I still don't get it. Why is ETFs bad? Well, because they're doing what's called fractional reserve banking. They're taking something that had a finite supply, and they're saying, no.
It.
Yes, we're giving you unlimited amounts via paper.
Yep.
Futures do the same thing, but ETFs are much worse.
Oh, 1,000,000 times worse, because you don't even have to liquidate a paper loss.
Nope.
You can just hold it. In futures, they got to liquidate that paper loss. They cannot hold
somebody it. Somebody loses for you to win.
Yes, unless they have that dollar in that account in the futures market, they got to exit.
Yeah.
No choice. But in
ETFs, it's not the truth. It's not like that.
You don't have to. You can just hold that losing position till it maybe becomes one day.
Yeah, which is why JP Morgan, you know, that was part of the deal that they got is they took over the silver short position from Bear Stearns. And they did that as a hedge against the physical that they were holding so that they could continue to manipulate that market. They paid almost $1 billion in fees after being found guilty for over a decade of metals manipulation. And one guy was found guilty. He went to jail, the prop trader himself. And I think the amount they ended up paying was like 996 billion or some shit, or a million, just under $1 billion. And yeah, like, but they're still doing it. They didn't stop just because they got caught. And how many billions have they made? So they'll do the same shit with Bitcoin is the assumption.
Check it. They definitely are doing the same thing. That's why they got sandbagged with that operation.
Yeah.
You know, while they benefit, well, they're on record already as being caught red-handed doing what they were doing, and then on top of that, they got sandbagged with the operation from Bear. That's the same deal, right? Just the opposite side from the one that they were on. So now they're manipulating both sides, and it's on paper for one side. So, past proves present on paper.
Well, it's just like this. It's just like, okay, what kind of rainbows you got to be pumping up your ass to think that they're just going to not do it with Bitcoin? They are there to make money.
Period.
That's it. That's their fucking job, dude. And they got tens of thousands of people who go out hunting every day to make money.
Just for
that's their job.
And that's what
that's
they
their job. So they will do it. Yes, they are doing it. Yes, they're getting ready because next is ETFs. ETFs will roll out and get approved in the U.S. There's already a couple in Canada, and yes, I know over in Europe there's a few as well.
Yeah, there is. Let's see where Hex is at. Hex, man, I'm really liking this pump that we're getting, right? It's looking like it's right on time, just as we've been discussing for months.
Yeah.
You know, we looked at HEX.VISION for a long time, discussing how it would be the end of April, beginning of May when we would get the pump, and this,
Based on on-chain and the big stakes coming out, right? So that's like, I really do think you got an advantage charting HEX and doing TA bullshit on HEX, as well as looking at on-chain metrics, because it is so pure. The data is not obscured at all.
Yeah, it's not. It's not like there's no dark pools here, and there's no stupid oracles and crap like that. You don't have any middlemen involved with your data, right? And this is why you can see strictly how the market's going to react and when it's going to react. I mean, that's what you want. You don't want no
Essentially,
funky business. Yeah, you don't want no funky business.
But even that's funny because, okay, what you and I are talking about is correct. And you would think that that's what everyone would want. So you would think it would once again pull more people into what? Into HEX, into the ecosystem. But it doesn't. So again, like when you talk about crypto and everyone else is 3 to 5 years behind, bro, at least. Because they still don't even know what the fuck they're looking at.
Yeah, you know what's funny is really, you know, people can't imagine what we got going on over here. And that's what's so cool about all the things we got going on.
It is, because they don't have a fucking clue. Because if they did, they would be in it, yes?
Yep.
Okay,
they would not be sleeping on it. They would be a whole part of it. Now check this out. We got a nice big old 1.17 billion size HEX stake or stakes expiring on the 9th. I got some dry powder too, so man, I'm hoping I get lucky.
Yeah.
Sell somebody. Nastily so. Thank you. Yes.
You know, okay, we talk about this a lot, but this hit me the other day because I usually don't think like this, but I think it might be this simple. We were always asking, why do these idiots sell all in one big order? Do you think in their mind, they're thinking that they're going to save on gas fees by just doing one instead of executing multiple? Hilarious, right?
No, yeah, I know, because what's funny is I've always been like, you know, whatever you think you're gonna save by doing it all in one order, you're gonna lose in profit. So it actually,
and slippage. But okay, in their brain, do you think that logically that makes sense to them? I think so.
Probably, bro. That's probably.
I think so.
Thinking, man.
Which that is so fucking funny. I was cracking up when I first had that thought.
Yeah, because it's not how it works.
No.
The market makes you pay one way or the other, and that's how it actually works.
In case you aren't following along, there's something called slippage, which is just the price that you actually get filled at versus what you wanted to execute the order at. And you set that within the aggregator. So 1%, 2%, 3% slippage, whatever. But a lot of times it ends up being worse than that because they don't care. They'll just override that based on the size of your order and what you actually get filled at. So you might end up losing a fairly large percent of money, of return, because of that. Yeah, and if you've never checked and maybe you approved at some point some fucking dog shit meme coin or something where you had to put the slippage at like 30% just to get the order to go through. If you've ever done that and not changed it back, you'll get double fucked.
Yeah, for sure. It's kind of crazy.
So no, you're not saving money, but I think people actually do think like that.
Yeah, they do. Crazy, man.
Oh, man. Pouring out for them in the chat. Pour it out.
Yeah, because what's crazy is that we're looking at this billion size, you know, ending stakes for that day, but the odds of, you know, big sales happening are actually from these days, not this one. The odds of this one rolling are 99.9%. The odds of sales coming from here, greater than 80%, because it's so much smaller than this big old one, which probably means it's some fucking person that really understands HEX and is playing the game the right way. Because
or several people that have that understanding, right? We don't know how many people that represent.
Right, whatever. You know, we have no idea.
I agree with you though. I tend to agree
some entities, right? And that's just what it is though, is that we've seen that happen time and time again where these big stakes just don't affect the price whatsoever.
Yeah, like we've seen that. Like we're all bracing and preparing. Like, oh fuck, here's a big one coming out, and then it doesn't really, nothing really happens.
Yeah, it's just like a big nothing burger. So I'm hoping these guys do some damage and hook me up.
Let's do it. Hey, let's go back to the chart. I want to show everybody something. Go back to the chart. Let me show something real simple. Go to the weekly chart and then add on MACD for me, please. Weekly, please, sir.
Oh, I picked daily. Damn, what the hell's wrong with me? This
Okay.
MACD, I don't really
Oh,
like.
your MACD is not the same as my MACD.
Yeah, hold on. Let me go to this one.
Or you got one.
Yeah, I got one over here, bro. It's
All
just
right.
that chart over there is just, I don't know. It's that Uniswap shit, bro. I don't know what's up with them charts. They're fucking weird. All right.
Yeah, let's go to. Oh, there it is. Okay.
This is what you're looking for?
Yeah, go to weekly though. Let's see how that looks. Because I've got an altered MACD actually.
Okay. You might want to show yours then.
Yeah. Let me show
you want to see my settings on the settings on mine, or you just want to show yours? Because it's all good either way.
Let me show mine.
All right.
I'm too lazy.
Okay.
Okay, there it is. Boom, boom.
All right.
Mine is just massively altered. Like it's not even a MACD anymore, really.
It's really not.
It's just a histogram. It's just a histogram.
Yeah, it is. Good stuff.
Okay, so here's what I was watching.
I like
so on a weekly chart. Like this is the kind of shit I look for. By the way, guys,
a little more refined than mine. I see it.
Yeah. So here's what I look for, guys. I look for the most obvious. You could be the biggest fucking retard on the planet, and you're gonna still see it, and it's gonna make sense, and you're gonna be able to make money off it. This is the kind of setup I look for. Like you could literally just use this all by itself.
Yep.
Because what we're looking at is the time duration that this took to occur is so great, is so large that when it finally does move, it's going to be an explosive move. And then what we see is the little negative island here, big, and then here we go, getting a little bit smaller, so creating a higher low, and then boom. Like I knew what was about to happen right here. Because there's no way it was going to go from this all the way fucking back down. Not when you start to add some other correlating pieces, like we're sitting right above this, we're sitting right at this high. This has acted as support over and over and over again, right? This is a strong base of liquidity to that people will respond to, right? We look at VPVR. It was all correlating here as just an area for wicks because it was a low volume node. So it's like we start to now piece this together and we get a story. And that all that story was doing was massively pointing that we're going to see an explosion to the upside. It was very easy to see this, and not just in hindsight. Like I don't even know when I put this line on here, but it's been on there for a fucking long time.
I mean, it makes sense though, right? And typically, for those that like TA, let's do a little professional TA. Now, what happens after a market breaks out? Well, typically people take profits, right? Because you always are going to have the short-term minded in every market. And what that implies is a pullback. So typically after a breakout, there is a pullback. So do be aware of that. Now, where would the pullback happen to? It should happen to the closing price of that first big bullish candle that we're seeing, which could have been for, well, this is a weekly candle.
Yeah.
So that, about 16, 17 cents. But we already kind of solidified 16 cents. So it'd probably be something like 17.
If you get one, which
if you get one,
HEX performs differently. So in a more manipulated market, I'd say you probably don't even get a retest here. But knowing HEX, you probably do.
This is a if you start to see a pullback,
that would be what you're looking at.
That would be what you would look for. Some type of test to at least a 17 and a half level, and if you get something below that, applaud yourself because happy days.
Yeah, and so you just layer in some limit orders and bounce. And Daniel, yes, I am the tab master. I've already explained this over and over again. I have more tabs open than anyone else on the planet. Okay. Actually, I wonder what the Guinness Book World Record is.
Right? I don't know. You should look it up though.
I want to challenge that.
Fuck. It's not now. Let's not break the internet because you got to.
All right, let's shut that off.
Oh man, you want to talk about Maximus for a little bit, just to
let's do it.
Now that it's done minting, what's out there is going to be out there. I feel like it's safe to talk about it. All right, so for those that just don't understand Maximus, let me pull up this fucking deck screen.
And while you're doing that, I'll cover. There's a comment early on in the chat. I'll grab this one. Hey, how come? How do you think that it's by Sebastian? It was at 8 a.m. Why is Pulse a sure thing if ETH2 is coming out this year as well? First off, ETH2 is not coming out this year.
Oh,
how do I know that?
I like that shit.
How do I know that? Well, that's an entirely deep thread that we've been consistently covering about World Economic Forum connections to the ETH Foundation. The head of the ETH Foundation, the chick, is a young leader of tomorrow from the WEF. Everything that they're doing now with Ethereum is the same thing that every other woke signaling company is attempting to do. They're attempting to raise the flag and say, see, we care, climate change, oh my God, we're going to do it. And then they do the exact opposite. So the proof is in the pudding. Like, it took them 6 years to get to where they're at now. And even Vitalik came on and said that he'd be happy if they got it done in the next 6 years. So now the only reason why they're like pushing this narrative, and they came out with their very first Ethereum Foundation report last week. The only reason why they're doing this is to pretend that they give a shit about the climate, about the environment, et cetera, et cetera. So they're just trying to play that angle to appease the 1% of people who are very loud and annoying on the internet. That's it. They're not actually going to do it because they can't. And then secondly is ETH is a rich boys club now. They actually have zero intention to do this because they don't want to give up power. Who in their right fucking mind would give up all the fees and all the money that they're making right now to now pivot and get less fees and make less money? Answer that. Like, why would they willingly give up all that money that they're making right now with the current model for ETH? Why would they do that? For the planet? Fuck, dude, come on. Can't be that gullible. So that's why I know that it's, I mean, if it ever happens, it is definitely not going to be when they say it is. It's not fucking June or July. I would argue it's not even going to be this year. That's how you know that. And so when you start to like kind of put that thread together of like all the things they're saying versus what they're doing, how long historically it's taken for them to do things up until now, and we kind of thread all that together, that's where I'm pulling that answer from, is all of that. And knowing what these other organizations that are now involved do.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a joke to even believe that they're going to actually drop anything.
A huge fucking joke. Come on, man.
Yeah, like,
and we've been giving you all this intel.
Yeah, this is, I mean, maybe you're new, and if you're new, definitely go back and watch the previous macro episodes, because we cover everything, really in detail. And it's important because, this is our future, right? Like, this isn't a joke. We're not just here to make money. We're here to actually take care of business. So we watch everything in a serious fashion because this is our livelihoods in a lot of ways. So we take it very seriously on this channel. What's happening in the crypto space, what's happening in the regulatory space, what's happening everywhere.
Yeah.
So you need to understand that first and foremost. So when we tell you it's not going to happen, then it's not going to happen, because they're showed zero intention to do so, and they've had 7 years to get it right, 6 years so far to get ETH 2.0 right, and nothing. They don't even actually know how they're gonna do what they said they're gonna do. There's no document
if you wanted
nothing.
Well, if you wanted to simplify it, one of the lead ETH devs like 2 weeks ago came out and said we're not gonna hit June or July.
Yeah,
so
right.
I mean, there you go.
Yeah.
Like, we could just start at the very basics right there. That the own fucking developer was saying that.
Yeah, there you go. Whoops.
It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. But what is terrifying, which you should be paying attention to, is this chick who's at the helm of the ETH Foundation.
100%.
Because she's fucking terrifying.
Yep, 100%. Shout out to you, as I refer.
How many fucking tabs do you think she had at that point? Holy cow.
Like, that's crazy. Imagine, because I mean, people use the internet every day, all day, for all manner of things, and she was just probably going from one to window. And if you're using one of those websites where you're just clicking on something and it just pops another tab open, my god, I could only imagine. Oh wow.
That's
all
gross.
Right, let's get back to this business. So
what
the hell is this Maxi thing? Good question, guys. Well, during the minting phase, you had the opportunity to swap 1 HEX for 1 Maximus coin. Now, at that point in time, that was the value, 1-to-1, because the HEX was not staked yet. Right? It wasn't until it was staked that, hold on, let's laugh at this real quick, Jay. Yeah, it's not even gonna fix the gas issues. So like, who even cares?
It's not.
Anyway, yeah,
It's not. But they got to pretend like it's gonna. Just
right,
like the last update.
right.
The
They
last update was
definitely
supposed to
gotta
fix
pretend, bro. Oh my god,
it.
yeah. That's like my Richard. That's like the Richard Pryor, right? Like
Yeah.
that's the Richard Pryor of our era. Like
Yeah.
ETH and Bitcoin. Like they're the biggest jokes
Yeah.
because what was supposed to happen just hasn't even begun yet. And the people that are talking to you now are the ones actually pulling the ripcord.
Mm-hmm.
You're welcome, even though you can't see it yet, but you'll see it. It's okay because everybody's been playing games. Ain't no games to be played over here. It's time. It's time for that shit to cease and desist. So, anyways, Maxi, you had the opportunity to give them 1-to-1 in terms of one hex accounted for one Maxi. Now, after that point in time was over, what was meant to happen and what did happen is that they took all the hex that they received, staked it, 294 million plus
In a
hex
15-year,
for
bam.
15 years. Bam, 5,555 days. So what happened? What just happened, right? Because now you got these two things. You're talking about Maximus and Hex. What the fuck just happened? I'm confused now, right? Like, well, let me explain. Maximus is a currency all on its own. The purpose of Maximus is to facilitate the staking of Hex in one large pool. And that was all that happened. You gave him your Hex, and whatever Maxi you have or buy in the future will be whatever you decide to hold until the end, assuming you do hold it until the end. And then you can claim the Hex if you want. Right? Between now and the 15 years, it's a liquid stake. You don't have to hold it. You can just sell it. You don't have to do anything. And if you look at the upper right, what you'll see here is a valuation in hex terms for Maximus, right? So this is the price of Maximus per hex. And you'll see that it's positive, meaning it's greater than 1. And what that means is that the value of Maximus is greater than the value of Hex, and approximately by 15%, which is kind of overvalued, but that's the funny thing. It depends on how long you're holding it. Because if you're buying it now and you're holding it for a year or two, well then that's not a lot. That's okay. Because you're gonna get 40% a year. It's a max stake, right? So it just depends because if you're gonna sell, if you're gonna play a short term, then you're probably gonna be hurting because you don't know when that valuation is actually gonna be true.
Yeah, it makes little sense to play the short-term game because this
Yeah.
is essentially, it's become now a forward-leading indicator, meaning what's being priced in at the Maxi level is the value of the hex stake that has now been executed. So this should continue to go up. And here's where it's going to get really fun. What if Maxi comes out next year and does the same thing again? What if they do one every single year and become a huge OA? What will the value of Maxi be at that point? 100, 1,000, $1 million? Now that is going to be the ultimate test for weak hands. Is are you going to keep your Maxi and hold it all the way through, or be a paper-handed little bitch and sell it? I'm
Up
just
to
kidding.
you.
But
It's
yeah,
up to you.
what are you going to do? Because this might get, like, you think this is impressive. You're playing yourself. This might get so fucking nasty, dude. Because it's going to continue to price in the future value of Hex.
I'm
Correct?
serious. Something serious.
Dang. There's some
Serious.
alfalfa for you.
Yeah. Yep. So try to wrap your head around that because if you're overthinking it, stop. It's really that simple. It's
Yeah.
not more complicated than that.
Yeah, just stop it.
Just focus on realizing that if it was 10 hex that you gave them and you only had 10 maxi, well, that's all you have. That has nothing to do with when it ends. That has nothing to do with anything else. In fact, none of that actually matters because you could sell that maxi at any point in time. You can come back and buy double what you initially had. You can buy more now. Doesn't matter. It's just up to you, and what you actually want to do. Do you want to buy Hex or do you want to buy Maxi? Because then the question becomes, well, okay, If Maxi is a thing that prices in the future value of Hex, doesn't that kind of mean that it can't really stray from Hex too much? Because it kind of can't. Because it's based on Hex, right? It's backed by Hex. But guess what's happening? We're seeing a major premium being put into this market. So that kind of in a way puts pressure on Hex in a sense.
Yes, and this is what I like too, is because they're going to say, well, wait a second, what should be the fair market value of Hex? Well, couldn't we go look at Maxi to kind of figure that out? Of course we could.
Because
So as the market continues to go and look at Maxi to see what the actual value of Hex should be, shouldn't Hex run up then at that point to match? Or try and catch up?
It could.
It could.
Like this is a 15% delta basically at this point in time.
Yes. And that's why it's so fucking beautiful.
Yes. Now, here's what's interesting. And be advised, we're about to talk about a financial product that's 506c regulated and for accredited investors only. Once that HEX investment trust hits the public sphere, that's going to be another tool that is going to be able to be used to determine the delta, right, between a market with a premium, which that one will be, I can guarantee you that one, versus Hex. Because guess what? That's also going to be a form of a liquid stake. Because all that Hex that people are going to be basically buying with their fiat dollars, well, they are going to be experiencing the same price appreciation in Hex terms. Yeah. And that's the beauty. They're going to buy into that price appreciation because they're going to understand, just like Maxi work, because Maxi is basically the trust in crypto form. It's the same thing.
It is. Yeah.
It's the same thing.
And it's so now we'll have the OA.
Harder to accomplish because, the feds. But we got it done, folks. We got it done. But anyways, go ahead.
I was just going to say, it's like, now we got the OA. Yep. We got Maxi, which is an OA. We're going to have the HEX Investment Trust, which is going to be an OA. And Maxi and the HEX Investment Trust will act as leading indicators, aka delta, for what HEX is going to try and catch up to.
Yeah, or vice versa, right? Like we just don't know how it's going to play out yet because over time, that valuation is going to change. It's going to change, right? It might go under one. Like at a certain point, it was under one, right? And those are buying opportunities of the best kind because you're getting that yield at a freaking discount. It cannot get any better than that, folks. Right?
Yes, sir.
Jesus. Imagine buying 40%, a 40% yield at a 10% discount. Are you hearing me? Right? Like, are you hearing me? Like, that's basically what that is. Right? And it's important that you realize that because that's a differentiation between wrapping your head around a good product, a good asset, and something that is not a good asset, right? So we want to be sure that we're putting our money where it belongs, not where we think it should go. Yeah. Chasing meme coins and stuff like that. Like it's cool if you understand what you're doing, right? And we'll talk about that one day because we're gonna have our own pulse chain, and people got to understand that it's speculation only.
Yeah.
Right. Like and understand that it's to have fun, not to be taken seriously and stuff like that. So
all of this is foundation. Just imagine how far behind people are that don't even understand Hex yet. And now we're starting to slap on all these additional vehicles on top. They're really behind, which also speaks to the fact that you guys are really ahead for actually understanding what Hex is, the value in it, and now these additional vehicles, as they get stacked on top, you'll be able to spot this stuff and say, oh shit, that's delta. Oh man, this is going to do this. I can use this like this, right? Because you understand the underlying asset. So you guys are massively ahead. And yes, you're correct. Is now you've got the HEX Investment Trust. And I hope, Maxi, if you guys are watching this and listening, is please do one a year for Maxi. Do one 15-year fundraise every single year for Maxi. And as we continue to do this, there's going to be no HEX on the market. That's all I was going to say.
Yeah, no, I mean, I was just going to say that would be the ideal strategy in my mind. But, The
Everyone
math
just
still
go spam them, dude. Everyone just go spam them in Twitter and just keep telling them over and over again. Just do one a year, one a year.
one a year, and because once you do more than that, it kind of can lose its luster and all of that. You wanna find that balance, I think, right? And that's why one a year is good because you keep the market saturated, but not enough, right? Because guess what? You got to get them to buy that thing that's gonna back that asset that you're trying to create. And that asset is Maximus in this case, right? But it could be anything else in the future because you could do whatever you want, right? And this is an interesting question, right? You really don't know what it's going to be because we don't know what the payout per T-share is going to look like.
Mm-hmm.
It changes every day, and it's a positive volatility that we deal with in that aspect of the market. So we're lucky. We don't really have to care. It's just enjoy the ride because it's going to be a whole lot either way, right? And that's the whole point.
Yeah, man, it's killer.
So
What we
that's
got?
Maxi in a nutshell. Yeah.
Just another tool, simple tool.
Yep. Very simple, useful, utile, and I hope you guys really can wrap your head around it because it's really that straightforward.
Yep. And if you are a accredited investor, check out Hex Investment Trust. Hey,
Yeah,
do you want to do
check out.
this?
Yeah.
Let's do this really quick. Pull up what accredited investor means.
Oh, word. Let's do that.
Let's do that. I was thinking about this the other day. So I don't know if you guys are like this, but I can admit this to myself. I had no fucking clue what this meant for the longest time. If you're in that boat, it's okay.
I only learned because I had to. So
yes, like I had no clue what this meant. I just thought it was way out of my range. I thought that meant, oh shit, this is something I'm never gonna be. I can't be. I don't qualify for this. So let me just not even bother.
Right, but it's straightforward. Actually,
let's pull it up
out of here. Let me go to the SEC website. Let's not go to no Ricky Dink wannabe because it's really straightforward.
It's actually pretty simple.
Yeah. So how can individuals qualify as accredited? Individuals, i.e., natural persons, may qualify as accredited investors based on wealth and income thresholds, as well as other measures of financial sophistication.
That's
straightforward. Okay. So the financial criteria is as follows: net worth of over 100 million, excluding primary. Yep. Oh, I'm sorry, I said 100. Thinking about myself there. Excuse me. 1 million, excluding primary residence, individually or with spouse or partner, and or income of over $200,000 individually or $300,000 with your spouse in each of the 2 prior years, and reasonably expects the same for the current year. So,
and hint, this crypto gains count as this.
Yes.
Crypto wallets count as this. You just have to prove that to the governing body and how you get it, approved essentially for this.
Correct. So you just have to submit your address. So what are we trying to do, right? What are we trying to do? We're trying to cement crypto into the real world by giving them no choice and understanding that this has some actual value, whether you want to realize it or not. Because here we go. We can use it to prove this accreditation status. And we're doing it. We've already done it multiple times. So it's just a matter of people understanding that they might actually be an accredited investor, even though they don't realize that they are. But here's something else that's cool. If you don't want to bother with that, you could even take the exams and get out of the way, right? So what's a professional criteria? Investment professionals in good standing holding the general securities representative licenses. And these are Series 7, 65, or 82. And if you work at a company, where you're a director, C-suite officer, GP of a company selling securities, then you can qualify. If you're any family client of a family office that qualifies as an accredited investor, then you, by the transitive property, qualify. And for investments in a private fund, knowledgeable employees of the fund, meaning if you work there, then you can invest in that fund. So you're covered because you have intimate knowledge, right? You have a gateway into understanding exactly what it's doing. Now, entities are a different story, but they also have to qualify. Entities only investments in excess of $5 million Assets, throwing entities in assets with in excess of 5 million. So all of these entities, corporations, partnerships, LLCs, trusts, 501c3s, organizations, employees. So all these different entities, right? If you got a small company with employee benefit plan, or you got your own company where it's just you and it's your employee benefit plan, this would have to be the number, right? So these are the kind of things you have to understand. Because here's the thing, guys, you're all gonna be wealthy, so you gotta learn this stuff at some point.
Rich as fuck.
Yeah, and rich as fuck is still downgrade from wealthy in my mind, because I'm really thinking like billions and up. Because if you play this game right, we're very early.
Yeah, dude. We keep saying it. We keep saying it, but we're early.
But I mean, damn, what is this?
I actually didn't realize how easy it was to become accredited.
Yeah, it's very easy.
It's actually pretty easy, dude. Yeah. It's just kind of like this big boogeyman that, like, I don't know why the fuck I was being so stupid.
It's just the words. It's just
one of those things, you know?
Yeah, it's just the words that they use. They make it sound like it's something fucking more than it is. It's nothing, bro.
Yeah, it's another extension of using big words to make you feel small and stupid.
Yep, because you don't use them every day. That's all. It really ain't no thing. It's just another day. So this is from 2020, right? So let's see. $4 million per ounce of gold minted, apparently. And this is 2 years ago. This is before they inflated the supply, right? Because I guarantee you that they didn't account for the actual pump in dollars. I just know it. Let me see.
No way.
Visualizing U.S. money supply versus pressure as modal adoption, published in October. And it says it's U.S. dollar. Total production per person, U.S. dollar from okay, so it's not talking about the dollars per se, but it's going to be priced in dollars, that's for sure. So 2020 U.S. silver coins minted, 1.65, I'm guessing trillion. 4.7. Because that can't be dollars, right? Gotta be trillion, bro.
Go look at the bottom. Does it say at the bottom?
Here we go. No, that's just the That's annoying.
What the fuck?
I guess we could just assume it's trillion, right?
Legit doesn't, but I think so. I think that's
it. Dollar value per person. Dollar value per person. That's what we're looking at here. So total production per person. Through September 2020, the value of new U.S. money supply was 2,100 times higher than the value of new gold minted. Holy shit. How much higher? $4.79 per person in gold and $1.65 per person in silver. So this is insane.
That is insane. Holy shit.
Wow.
I kind of wish they would have showed that like visual representation from the side or something.
Yeah, it's not good that way.
I think that would even be crazier.
Yeah, it makes it insignificant when the way they got it laid out like this.
Yeah.
It doesn't really make sense. No worries. And it kind of doesn't really highlight well what this is showing either. But that's a whole lot of dollars been minted, right? So this just goes to show another nexus of devaluation, right? And in the dollar, and how gold itself doesn't really show it properly, right? Because if it did, I don't think it would just be at $1,800 or whatever it is now. I mean, it's not where it should be. That's for sure. Damn it, dude. Kill me with that freaking bot. So anyways, if you look at the amount of dollars per ounce of minted silver, put another way, here's how much U.S. currency is issued for each new ounce of minted coin. $150,000 per ounce. Now, if you own 1 ounce of silver, I guarantee you can now sell that for $150,000. Right? You can't. I mean, this is the math. This is the math that matters, right? You can't sell that ounce of gold or silver, excuse me, for 150 ounces or 1,000. Wild, right? Now, what about here? 4 million USD per ounce of minted gold. Now, gold. You can't sell that ounce of gold for $4 million. We're here talking about 20,000. This shit here talking about 4 million. I mean, how skewed are those numbers? Right? This is what we're battling against, folks. This is what they do, right? This is why crypto is important. This is why understanding this is important. This is why looking at what these markets are doing is important. What's Bitcoin doing right now? Same as always. It's getting ready to puke lower. What was I gonna look at? Gold.
Gold.
Yeah, just showing how crappy gold is relative to crypto. I'm actually writing something on that for Team Alpha. Where the hell is this thing? It's gotta be
Hell yeah.
workplace. Here we go. 1893. So 1893 during basically hyperinflationary period.
Yeah, it's so fucking bad, dude. I hate this because it makes me so sad looking at this fucking chart.
Yeah, it should, bro. It should. Yo, I remember 2015 being all hype about buying gold below 1,200.
Yeah.
Because I knew what was coming. You know, and that was a once in a lifetime opportunity for us. And it doesn't even fucking matter, really. Because now we got crypto.
Yeah, and the gains in gold are just so bad. Fuck.
Yeah, it's not even the gains, bro. It's about how gold doesn't work any longer because they've hypothecated it to the point that it's gonna end up. That's what Bitcoin's gonna end up looking like, and this is what people don't understand.
Yes. They're gonna lull it right to sleep. Yeah. I don't know what it's gonna hit as its highs. I don't know where it's gonna settle. I don't care, but I know long term that's what's gonna happen to it. The chart's gonna look just like gold.
Yep, 100%. And that's the whole point. Like, that's what I'm trying to help people understand. Sorry, guys. I was just getting in between the screen and the coin. So this is 8 days per candle. Okay. I'm talking about this time period when gold was at, like, people were writing columns about it, calling it pet rock. Mm-hmm. And crypto was nowhere near prevalent as it is now. To the point where even I wasn't really caring about it, to that point where I was still buying gold, right? Because I understood what gold was. But look at the price below $1,200, right? 1050. I mean, prices that we're never going to see again, period. Not in dollar terms.
Yeah.
Not in dollar terms. And that was the whole point of that point in time, right? But it hasn't even 1x, man. It's not even a 2x, right? Like, if you bought it at 1050, right? Or 1050, which is damn near the all-time low in December 3rd, that time frame. You're not even 100% up.
Yeah, dude, it's so sleepy. It's like it's not even funny,
horrible.
Man. You ain't getting nothing out of that. How's that? You know, you ain't keeping up and pacing with inflation and everything else that we've been talking about. Not even close.
Not even all. No.
And that's like,
and that's their objective, right? That's their objective.
I was just gonna say it's kind of like a rainy day thing, to where like one day, I feel like everyone owns it now, just because one day, possibly, maybe, sort of, kind of, 10 generations from now, somebody will need it.
Right. Right.
Which, okay, cool. I got some too. Like, I don't give a fuck.
So
it's just because I bought it so long ago.
Gold is the classic. Gold is a classic. You either had it or you can't get it thing. Right? Mm-hmm. People talk about being late to HEX, but nah, you late to gold, homie.
Yeah.
How you paying $1,800 an ounce complaining about HEX at 15-20 cents?
Yeah.
You looking real stupid and you don't even realize it.
That's true. Maybe there'll be a use case for it though later. We can melt it down and put it as like shielding on our fucking rocket ships to go into space. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe.
Because it's a great reflector.
It's a great reflector. It's very non-corrosive. It doesn't corrode at all, really. Yeah. All you gotta do is clean it. I mean, that's not corrosion, right? So that's one of the reasons why it has long-standing value, right? You humans have made it a thing for thousands of years for a reason. I mean, it can't be a joke. But what happens? Well, or what has happened? Well, what's happened is that we humans have allowed other individuals to determine the actual value of gold and not the markets. Give me a second, guys.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy to think about. Like the price of gold should be, again, based off the standard and everything that we see going on in the economy, just like in 2009, where it should be versus where it's at is just completely different ends of the spectrum. It's just so weird to see. That's why people start thinking like they know better, or that this is it doesn't matter. They start coming up with these weird hypotheses about the market, how markets work. No, it's just being manipulated. It really is that simple.
Yep.
That's it.
It's manipulated. Why else doesn't it work? Math can't be wrong, right?
Yeah, the math don't lie.
Yeah, math don't lie. I mean, it can't be. It can't. So this thing's supposed to be trading like $20,000, $30,000, per ounce. That's a reality.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
not. So question is why? It looks like it's gonna rip, but not really. I mean, if you look at momentum indicators down here, it doesn't look like it's gonna rip to me at all. I mean, and this is 8 days per candle, right? I mean, momentum is waning. Oh crap. Whew. What happened?
That's weird. Where'd it go? Oh, there it is.
Flipped. All right.
Huh.
I don't think that was the order I had them in.
All right, I'll be right back.
Yeah, no worries. So what's happening, right? Momentum is waning. This was April the other day. We're looking at 1 day now. And it just couldn't get up, right? And it ran into resistance ultimately. And what's it doing right now? Potentially running into resistance again because it's running into that mid band on the RSI. And at the same vein, it's running into a potential area where you could not see any positive price action, and it just continues to roll over because it's just weaker now, right? As you can see here, it's just not really, it's not sustaining a move above the zero line, but it's staying below it, and that's how you know it's weak ultimately. Let's see. So yeah, Hex is looking really solid, man. As always, I've always been positive on Hex. It's never really been a stream that I've not been positive about it. So, you know, congrats to everybody else that remembers. The X does go up, I guess. But yeah, it's looking really good. But look, now you know what accredited investors are, right? If you know people that are interested in crypto exposure, are accredited, and are looking to gain access to Hex, or they want access to Hex, let them know about the Hex Investment Trust. HEX.INFO. The site is on the bottom. They can contact us through there. Because again, once we close it, we're gonna be closed for good until it actually goes public. And then they'll just have to get it through the broker and whatever. So they want to get into the now price of 19 cents, which would be the equivalent of $1.90 per unit. They gotta reach out because otherwise they're gonna get left behind. So again, HEX.INFO. Because this is part of basically intertwining the fabric, right, of finance as it exists. Because the reality, as we know it, is that there's just not a lot of yield to be had out there in markets, right? And why is that? Well, it's because of stuff like this, right? When they're printing dollars into oblivion, what ends up happening? Well, you end up getting Venezuela markets is what ends up happening. So while the value that you're looking at on the screen is a positive value, the dollar valuation is depleting. So you actually need more dollars to survive. You're not actually making more money, right? So while the value of your house and all this other nonsense has increased over time, what has also decreased over time? The value of that same thing that you're counting.
Yep.
So you're not really winning, are you?
The house didn't go up, dude. It's hard to digest. It really is. But your house did not go up that much in value.
I mean, think about all the people that invest in real estate and got to deal with that headache.
Yeah, that sucks.
That sucks. Yeah, I'm not a fan of it. I mean, the only thing I ever wanted to do was buy mortgages because I never wanted to deal with the physical asset because it's a pain in the butt. Right. I mean, and that's that's just how it works. So you got to find a way to make it work for yourself if you want to be doing stuff. Right. And that's kind of just how it works. So let's look at this one more chart. Let's see if we can even pull up any data. We didn't stop tracking it. So this chart here, one of my favorites. Federal net Federal net outlays versus real GDP, right? And this again just goes to show, or excuse me, GDP, how they spend. So federal net outlays is in the right, and that value is 22 and a half. Oh wow, 205 on an index basis. 205,000 on the index basis versus GDP of 22,000. Now, what does this mean? This means that they basically have spent 10x. For every dollar they spend, they basically get 10 cents in return. So this is what you get from governments doing their thing. And this is why we have HEX.INFO to allow those that can actually enter the boat early to enter early, because the mission, it doesn't end at the private stage. It continues on to the public stage. And the whole purpose of this is to essentially onboard fiat into crypto, because every dollar that comes in is going to swallow up HEX, just like the Maxi trust, and stake it for as long as possible. And that's the whole objective there. And eventually, there's going to be a premium on that market too. And that's what you got to realize, because when you have governments doing things like this, I mean, understand that federal net outlays means the dollars that the government is spending. GDP is what the economy is, quote unquote, producing. So notice that this is 205,000 versus 22,000. That's like a 9x delta, meaning the government is spending $1 and only getting 9 cents or 90. I'm sorry, only getting 10 cents back. That's a little bananas.
Yeah, it is. Absolutely madness.
I mean, we got you covered, right? We got the real savior of financial assets to save you from the potential demise of this nonsensical activity from these so-called bureaucrats, because that's really what they are. Actually, I mean, they're bureaucrats. I mean, they're technocrats, right? These people are picked to do this job. It's freaking wild, man. It is wild. Yeah, I'm actually a fan of digging in the crates, so yes, we will. But yeah, I mean, just you either get into HEX or get into HEX Investment Trust. If you're an accredited investor, we're getting into something that's gonna actually cover your behind, because it's getting funky out there. I mean, look at this chart. This is bananas. This is from 1930 to now. Both of them. I mean, that's the starting point. They've gone 22,000x in one light and 205,000x in the other.
Yeah. That's
I mean, this
crazy.
is no words.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the thing, everybody's gonna feel the pain on this one.
Yeah.
Nobody is, gonna be saved from this. This is ridiculous. I mean, this is a scary chart, is it not? I mean, this is wild, bro.
That's the biggest parabola I think I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's crazy,
Besides
bro.
a vertical line.
Let me see if I can make it logarithmic. Where is it? Oh, god damn it.
So what's becoming more important is just how much like your ability to fight and really to get yourself yield up against, like, because everything's moving faster now. So the rate at which you can get yield needs to be, comparable to the rate at which things are just hyperinflating and going out of control.
100%. Look at this.
Yeah, that's wild.
This is very wild.
So as this continues to speed up, as the hyperinflation continues, and as all this, traditional legacy continues to, I guess, fall apart, essentially, is what's going to be really cool to see is, I think, like, HEX has the best chance of winning by itself. But then when you start adding vehicles on top of that, I think you will be able to massively outpace this entire disaster.
100%. Because what's happening? We're creating hubs on top of that, I guess, core nucleus, right? I mean, HEX is really the core nucleus of this new ecosystem that's being built on it. Because as long as there's HEX to go around, which, there's really not that much, but for now there's some, you can grab it up, snatch it up, and create a financial product that will allow others to benefit from the goodness of that energy core, of that core nucleus of financial power that HEX is. I mean, HEX is a reserve asset. It's not something that you buy and sell, and people don't really get that. So they're going to ultimately learn that over time, because that's how it works.
Yeah, and I think the longer it's out there, it's going to become more and more, like that statement's going to become more and more true, that it's a reserve asset. Yeah. As long as people continue to build on top of it, it will continue to be a reserve asset.
Pretty much. So, I mean, and all the things that we're doing are going to basically solidify that too, which is funny, because it helps to understand something, to be able to deploy something in such a fashion. And, the math allows us to be able to use the real world in a way that's to our benefit. And they're going to be mad because by the time they figure it out, whatever. Good luck.
Yeah. Well, it's like what we're essentially doing, and I like this concept. I don't know if this is the answer, but it seems to be an answer, is to just go out here and continue to build out vertically integrated financial stacks, which is exactly what's happening. With the stuff we're building, Richard's obviously going out and pushing and building other layers and other pieces of it too. But together, that whole thing, it becomes a stack, a financial stack that exists independent of everything else around it. 100%. That's cool.
100%.
That's cool. Like I think that I think like that's how you win. I don't know. I can't think of anything else.
Let's see what we got here. We got national defense consumption expenditures and gross investment. Basically, what are these people spending on defense? It's basically all this. This is on the right side, we have billions of dollars. On the left side, we have the rate of change. Now, looks like we're missing data points here. So let's zoom this out. Okay, 2021. So this probably goes to January 2021, and that means that there probably isn't any monthly data or anything like that. So what is this chart showing you? Well, 2020 or 2018, actually, from 2013 through 2018, they were spending a lot, basically, because what happened is it flipped from this point, the negative to the positive. So they had to start spending here, because only then can it pick up year over year, the year forward, and so on, 2015 and so forth, right? And this is what we see. So this is when it stopped, because a year after you see it decrease, because it can only decrease if this point is lower than here. So that means they had to stop spending a lot here, right? And why is that? What was happening? Well, let's see. 2013. You had the U going on. You had just finished Syria, Libya, right? And they had to move on. They had to do other things. They had to prepare other things. And we're seeing the end result of those things now. Because, what they deployed wasn't easy to pull off, even though it seems like it was. But, whatever. So all these things, right? You're seeing this dip here, right? I mean, this is real time right now. Boom. And they're not shy about it. They're letting you know. They're sending that money wherever they want. They're doing whatever they want with your money. Now, how do you save yourself from this? That's what the HEX is for, right? That's what crypto is for. And now you have this vehicle for accredited investors, HEX.INFO. And these are the kinds of things you have to keep an eye out for. Because these are going to be the only things that if something does happen, this is going to be the only way you're going to have anything of value, because that's going to be backed by something that you can account for on a book. Those funny securities that the DTCC is holding for you, not so much. Oh, man. Kind of crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It really is, man.
It's some mind-numbing data that I just keep here and never talk about. Because when you sit here and think about what's actually going on, it's like, wow, these people really just do not care. And no, they do not.
Yeah.
They don't.
They don't. And they'll just keep spending and spending and spending, and you pay for it. You pay for it with inflation. You pay for it with your taxes. You are the sole person funding their fucking experiments and disastrous decisions.
Everything. It's disgusting, bro.
Yeah, it is.
Now let's see what we got here, because this is a whole lot in this chart here. We got compensation of employees in purple, which is basically, let's zoom this out. Let's go to sales. Let's go 15 years. So what I'm looking for is the trend, basically. Now, purple and red is on the right, and damn it. Sorry, man.
Is that all the way to the left? Is that the max it'll give us to the left or to the right? At the bottom? What is that? Why is that like grayed out like that?
Where? What do you mean?
To the right, like where you get to select the distance. Yeah, why is that like? What's going on there? It's missing data, right? Oh, it is. No, yeah, look, we're missing data on blue and green.
Oh, blue and green. Damn it. The hell is blue and green? Blue is share of gross domestic income, compensation of employees, and green is share of gross domestic income, compensation of employees. But this is wages and salary accruals, and this is disbursements to persons. So this is just a little different number. Okay. But they're both basically the same thing. All right, whatever, man. But it jumped up, right? So why'd they cut it? Because that's a dollar value that's being measured here, right? Because they interestingly cut it when? March 2020. All right. I mean, you thought you got away with it, but you didn't. Nice try, though. I mean, what's the last reading here? Come on, damn it. Yep. Magically, the last one was for that month. Now, imagine if they would have printed something else after that. It would have eclipsed all other readings on top of that one, which eclipsed all other readings.
Yeah.
Math is a beautiful thing because it helps you make the right decisions, bro. Provides clarity, as I like to say. I mean, imagine. Yo, we are some lucky people knowing about HEX, straight up.
Yeah, extremely.
And in 10 years, it's going to be so evident. It's going to be crazy. So let's see.
10 years? 5 years, probably.
Well, I mean.
But 10 really, like, obvious.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Okay, that's what I mean. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, obvious. Like, wow, what the was I thinking? Not keeping that obvious, you know. So
Exactly.
yeah. It's gonna be real bad. So if we look at this, what's happening? Well, this is Chicago Fed adjusted national financial conditions index, right? Adjusted, non-adjusted. The difference I can't remember. We'll read it after I'm done. But long story short, below zero means buy stock. Above zero means Fed is tightening, recession, something. Now look at what's happening right now. We're entering that recession. Fed is tightening range. See? Simple. Just like that. And the market is going to price this in right now. It's not going to wait. No, I'm saying it's going to do it right now because that's what the line is saying. It's saying do it right now. And that's what we're seeing, right? If we look back, even gold's getting the pain, right? And if we look at, do I have the S&P here anymore? No, I don't think so. Nope. And if we look at E-mini, which is just a representation of the stock market, you see the same thing, right? Market's just kind of rolling over from early December to now. And this is just a function of expectations, right? The market has been tightening. Financial conditions have been tightening. And we've been talking about this for months. And this chart is just really highlighting that. And as you guys can see, it's from December to now. I mean, it's, just what it is. You familiar with this chart, Jay?
Yeah, let me look. I was just typing up some shit.
No worries, brother. We're almost done here. Okay, we're covering like everything and some on this one.
Yeah.
This
Oh,
one, what's up?
I haven't seen this, but what's interesting is I got to look into this more. But I've been hearing like rumors that that they're looking to shut down the New York Fed.
What? Interesting.
Wouldn't that be wild?
Yeah.
Like the biggest money launderer in the U.S. And I started thinking, I was like, you know what? That would probably be a pretty good start to making change, wouldn't it?
I mean,
because the New York Fed is a big perpetuator of fraud, by the way, and money
100%.
laundering.
All
Huge.
banks are, brother. All
Huge.
banks are.
Well,
all
specifically this one. This one's got my attention lately, is because they were the biggest. They dispersed the most amount of money from the 2009 Great Financial Crisis, which was $23 trillion. They dispersed the most amount of money for the Corona aid, and who are shareholders are Bank of Milan, Morgan, BOA, Citigroup, and one other. And those are all the big dogs that got the basically they got all the funds from the repo bailout in 2019. So they just keep getting it over and over and over again.
Yeah, I was just about to say, they keep getting it over and over and over. Like they get every bailout. That's like their job, just to get bailed out.
Yes.
Trash it, bail me out.
Yep. That's wild, man. It's fucking wild.
Yeah. Well, what's cool is that we're exposed to the right instrument that is ready for this game that they're playing, right? And why can I not pull this up? Bam. I mean, this market's just been floating higher.
Oh yeah, this is my new favorite. So we pointed out this insane inverse head and shoulders, right, which you can see clear as day right now. And usually, what you get out of that is a move in the opposite direction, which is very, very potent. And I mean, this thing is really just getting started. Yeah, from a pattern standpoint, this thing is just getting started.
Mm-hmm. And this is the thing that people don't understand about HEX, right? And I say it all the time. What is HEX, right? It's a high yield, capital appreciating instrument. It's two things. And the market's going to price that in. Don't matter what you think or know. Markets do what they got to do. And that's just how it works. So I think this is a great way to wrap it up. I mean, we didn't really touch on rates, but it's pretty much the same story. Some are inverted, some are near inverted, some are going to be inverted. Maybe now with the rate hiking, they'll never get all the way inverted, you know, but we will see, because anything's possible, especially when dollar yen is looking like it's looking. I mean, that thing is wild, bro. Let me pull that up real quick.
Oh, somebody mentioned earlier, how many rate hikes are they behind? We're essentially 10. We got 10 more.
Oh, I'll put the chart up for that. Oh, look at this. Isn't this funny how HEX even lines up with the dollar yen? And we're already at 130. I mean, I was talking to somebody about this. I can't remember what the hell it was. Maybe it was Green Room or something like that. But, you know, you got to realize this thing could keep running to, you know, 300 yen and $300 a yen. Like, there's no reason why it can't. It's been suppressed for 10 years. 20, in fact. If not really 25, but who's counting?
Yeah, so I mean, technicals play out like technicals play out. You know, you squeeze something long enough, it's going to pop. It's just how it goes.
Right. That's right. And this thing is ready to pop.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, because
it's looking like it's just starting, ain't it?
Yeah, it is to me. I kind of wish being long dollar yen was as good as being long HEX, because I would love to make that trade, but it's just not as good. Sorry.
No, it's not.
Nah. But we're already in that trade, so it's all good.
Yeah. Man, I just like afterwards dissecting the trade. We're gonna have some potent streams in years down the road from now.
It's gonna be crazy.
Looking at this shit.
It's gonna be crazy, bro.
Yeah, absolutely crazy.
It is ridiculous, man. Woof. All right. So how many rate hikes? Let's see. 2.3 is basically saying that the Fed is behind 9 in rate hikes at this point.
Oh yeah, because we just had one. So
you just had one, yep. So 9 rate hikes.
Left.
Yep. So get to it, boys. Good luck. Oh man, but yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. You know, HEX is looking nice and sharp. Keep your eyes peeled for a pullback if you're lucky enough to get one. You know, participate. Don't stay asleep. You know that math is strong. Once you stake it, it's game over. So get in there. Don't be a square, and get right.
Let's do it, baby. Thanks for tuning in,
guys. Yeah, thanks for tuning in. Peace.
Let's see it.
Right. The reality is that I want to be rich as fuck. There's only one way to be rich as fuck. That's by sitting on your ass the longest. That's it. That's the secret. The guy well told you. Richard done told you. I done told you. Kareem done told you. Maddie done told you. Everybody done told you. Everybody done told you. Shit, motherfuckers still acting like they don't know. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
100% safe. There's plenty of games left.
Valiant done told you. Yo, everybody said it. Man, hey, you know what it is, man? Everybody done told you. Y'all's deep. Everybody. My God. Ex-Asians, bro. Everybody. Australians, man. Everybody gets me. Yo, when is it told you? Dollar cost told you. Everybody done told you. It's crazy.